in the presence of fame. I've been talking about Lemmy a little bit lately. I've been kind of focused on him. I've always appreciated Lemmy. I spoke of seeing him walking into the rainbow, and I didn't know that was a hangout of his. It's just pure legend, and Melissa and I were standing in there because God Dethroned was sold out at the Whiskey A Go-Go next door. And we said, well, we'll just go to the bar. And so we went next door, and then comes Lemmy, and I'm like, I couldn't approach him. And I want you to understand, I told you that I had run across Wayne Gretzky and Steve Martin and what's his name, Robin Williams, amongst other people. I've been in close contact with a lot of people. Look, there's Victoria. She's somebody that I would much rather spend time with than anybody like Robin Williams or Steve, whatever his name is. Robin Williams and the other cold fish handshake guy. Steve Martin. Cold fish handshakes. I love you.
Me too, sorry.
That's okay. That's what we're here for. We're here to talk about life and the people we care about being around. But Lemmy, I held in esteem. With Ozzy, I don't know how either of them would feel about being connected to each other. I think they'd be okay, but I connected them in my mind. These are people that you just go, they don't give a shit about anything. And it's not all about not giving a shit about anything, but if you don't give a shit about anything and you still have a smile on your face, like, I don't care about them. Fuck them. Well, I don't say fuck them. I just don't care. There's a difference. There's a joy that goes on. Those two guys I held in the same esteem in different methods. But those are people that I would not be able to walk up on. And when we saw Lemmy there in the rainbow, he walked in, and I was like, It made me chill. It threw me off because I'd seen other people. You know, I had seen Steve Martin in the desert, Saudi Arabia, Desert Shield time. He was there and he was with his wife. I've got pictures here somewhere, but I fucking... I got another picture. Let me tell you this, though. So Steve Martin stood up there and he talked and he was happy and he just he did a skit for all the soldiers, and we've all got rifles. And so he comes out afterwards and he's like, and people are surrounding him. And I reached out and I said, hey, and he just cold fish handshake. I said, oh, what the fuck was that? It was nothing. And he's like, and you can understand, everybody's got rifles. They might not like them. But I hadn't seen a woman in a good while. And there he was with his wife, Victoria Tennant. So there's a pretty good picture of me, too. While everybody was chasing him to shake his hand, Steve Martin, Steve Martin, Steve Martin. I went over and I said, oh, I held this woman. I said, oh, to touch the flesh of a woman. Good picture of me with Victoria Tennant. I got much more out of hugging a lesser known celebrity like Victoria Tennant who was good in her time and everything. She was a good actress. But I got much more out of that than a cold fish handshake out of Steve Martin. He's one wild and crazy guy, but he doesn't know who's coming at him. Yeah. And then there was Wayne Gretzky. I mentioned Wayne Gretzky. I was in the bar with him. Oh, why don't we just go back to the war? It's Christmas time. Let me take this Christmas card off my Jesus photo of Christ in Gethsemane while everybody's passed out drunk in the background. He's going, what the fuck did you give to me? That's what he's doing. And why did you leave me alone? He's saying to me. And I'm like, I got things to do. You want me to do this? I got to do this. I got to go right now if you want me to do it. And he's like, I need you to do it. And I'm like, well, I got to go. And I can see in the back of his mind, he's going, I'm not sure this is a good idea. And I said, you said it, I go. And so I go take care of what I need to take care of. Leave him alone, sitting there in the garden with the light of God shining down upon him while he cries with his head in his hand saying, how did I get myself into this? You should have picked rock instead of scissors. It would have been God sitting there instead of you. But there, Steve Martin was there at, what do you call it, Desert Shield when we were still in Saudi, because I was there from the beginning to the end. They say first in, first out, but it was first in, last out for the 82nd. General Schwarzkopf got his men out that came up late before we ever got to leave. But they talk about it's illegal to take pictures of dead people. One of the pictures I have is the same one that was on the cover of Time magazine. Somebody had seen it. And it was like, I guess it's okay to take pictures of dead people. In the movie Jarhead, they say, well, you don't take pictures, that's for the army. And I was like, you're right, I got some good pictures. Look, there's one. I made Christmas cards out of them. Peace on Earth, 1998. Goodwill towards men begins with friends. And there I am. Look at how happy I am. Pure Legend says, look at that. That's the Judas shit-eating grin. I can see the joy in everything. So yeah, maybe that's why Steve Martin didn't want to shake my hand. I didn't care. It's no big deal. The way I look at it, celebrities are like cops. They're just people. Until you meet somebody like Lemmy or Ozzy. How do you know that these people are bigger than you? You can't get close to them. I just couldn't come close to them. And Phil was Pure Legend was able to go up and talk to Lemmy when we saw him in the Rainbow. And when he came back, I was like, I was like a little girl. I was like, what happened? He said, yeah, we talked about Ron Jeremy and Lemmy, and there's a connection, and Pure Legend was in a movie with Ron Jeremy, and Ron Jeremy used to hang around with Lemmy, and they had something to talk about. I said, and he said, he smelled really bad. I was like, Lemmy, how perfect. So I can't approach somebody like Lemmy. But there was Steve Martin and his wife. I can on Steve Martin's wife, and you feel like you want to wash it off after you have a cold fish handshake like that. And then I saw Wayne Gretzky in Sacramento after that in the sports bar, and everybody, that's Wayne Gretzky, and there's Wayne Gretzky in a suit, and he's got a couple other big thugs with him in suits, obviously hockey players from his team, and the guy said, I'm going to get his autograph, and I'm just standing there going, I really don't care about him, And this guy went, and he came back, and he wouldn't give me his autograph. I said, what? He said, well, my friends and I are just here to relax. And I said, well, fuck you, Wayne Gretzky, whatever the fuck you're, Grain Wetsky. Grain Wetsky, that's his name now. Fuck you, Grain Wetsky, you great one. You're gonna walk into a sports bar in a suit with a couple of thugs. You're all giants walking through here, and you expect people not to notice you? You should have gone down to Lenny's. Nobody would have cared about you at all. You could have had your beer and relaxed, but you wouldn't have had the joy of telling people, we're just here to relax. Fuck you, Wayne Gretzky, Grain Wetsky. So I didn't bother with him. I don't care. I don't play hockey anymore. And then you run into Robin Williams, who you're in flubber with, and he's standing there and he's having... He was forced to do his little skits between scenes to keep all the extras happy. And I'm standing on one of these extras, I'm looking, he looked like John Travolta. I was sure he was John Travolta. And there's Robin Williams doing a skit, trying to be funny, and everybody, and in the middle of it, I looked, I said, that's John Travolta. And this guy's standing there, he's just a John Travolta lookalike. I didn't realize it till then. I was sure it was John Travolta. How did he get into this movie as an extra? And Robin Williams says, ugh. And he shut the fuck up. And I said, yeah. And he shook my hand, cold fish. And I'm like, get off of me. It's like you're putting slime on somebody if you can't shake their hand. I mean, let's look at it this way. When I met Jack Kevorkian at Michigan State, I went by myself and I met the man. I said, and I saw his art show, and geez, he had some great art. I should have bought something that day. If I'd have been somebody with money, I would have, and I would have a fine piece of art hanging on the wall. But, no, I just, afterwards in the little question and answer thing where people are supposed to ask about your art, same way when I saw Oliver Stone, nobody wanted to talk about his book, they wanted to talk about his movies. Like, it's not about this. It's about what he's here for, and nobody can play the game right. They just feel like, this is my turn to ask what I want to know. Well, you weren't invited here to ask about these things. You're invited here to talk about the book. You're invited here to see Jack Kevorkian's art, and it was beautiful. And everybody's like, and everybody was aggressive against him being ahead of the curve. And I just, when it was over, I went up, talked to him, and that attorney of his, the Jeff whatever, I don't know what his name was. He was an attorney. He was just standing there, all important. But Jack Kevorkian there, just a very, very healthy looking young man, much older than me. And when I shook his hand, I said, I want you to know, after all these people were railing on him, I said, I want you to know I like your art. And the truth is, I agree with everything you're doing. I said, my mother might not feel the same way. And when we reached out to shake hands, and he gave me a good strong handshake, like a man is supposed to do. You don't shake a hand like you're going to slip it away and fucking stab somebody. You're supposed to be shaking a hand saying, you can trust me. And we shook hands like that, and he looked at me and he said, you just keep thinking the way you do. And I said, wow. Look at me now. I mean, what do you get? When somebody you respect so totally tells you to keep thinking the way you do. There was a hero of mine, and he says, keep thinking the way I do. I said, thank you. thank you. And so you get all these people that are supposed to be famous and they're supposed to be heroes amongst men. Most of them don't even know. Most of them even don't know what it is to be human, what it is to be able to talk to somebody. It seemed like there was somebody else I was supposed to talk about that was famous, but you know, I run into people all over the place. In the words of Jack Kevorkian, Dr. Jack, the angel of death. Keep thinking the way you do.